Okay, cool. We'll move on then from talking about stuff you do to stuff you don't do in Player Puzzle.
Player Puzzle.
Yeah. With so many drummers out there, it's hard to tell the difference, but some stand out so well that they're very recognizable. In Player Puzzle, we'll provide 3 hints to see if Adam can guess who's playing. Let's see if we can stump him this week.
All right. Did you give me last week? Which was Eric and Proto was the last stump. Was that last week? Or the week before?
Yeah, and then you got the other one.
Aaron Gillespie. That was the close. That was the close call. Yeah.
Yeah, where I basically gave you the answer to that one.
Basically, yeah.
So I'm gonna try not to do that today.
All right. So what is our first hint today?
Click on circuit.
Circuit.
All
right. Audio clip. Player Puzzle 1. Low end on this. I heard metal influence, not any metal, but I heard. Okay, this is so tricky. I have a buddy. Shout out Mikey Bolko, who was the manager at the Sam Ash drum department over a decade ago when I worked there. And he was a metal player who had this clear background in metal, but when he played other things, you could hear the metal left over in his playing. So like when he would do like blah, 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 like that flam thing, there was like a certain spacing of the flam that only a metal player would have. And then that mix too was like weirdly modern for that style. So I'm leaning towards somebody with a metal influence. But beyond that, I'm not totally sure. Also, maybe another metal-y hint here from that audio clip was the bell of that ride. That sounded like a mega bell, like ding, like the most obvious like giant bell, right?
Or maybe did I EQ the audio?
Do me dirty, man.
I know how to use Logic.
It's like I'm replacing all the drums in the audio.
I've thought about really messing with different components of these to see if maybe I can just twist and, modify the mix so much.
Speeding them up by like 10%.
I could. And I have that ability because you're supposed to be able to recognize these players.
Yeah, no matter what.
This is
something they played when they were 6.
So go ahead. I got a little fun fact about this drummer. Their favorite stand-up comedian is Bill Burr.
Bill Burr. Benny was who I want to say, right?
Yeah.
Because I know that they've met before.
I was gonna say I've heard a lot of interviews from drummers for preparing for this segment.
Yeah,
a lot of drummers like Bill Burr.
Well, because you find out he's a drummer.
Yeah,
right. So that puts it over the top. I mean, I also look at him as like universally liked, unless you're offended at everything. In which case, stand-up comedy is probably not your jam.
Yeah,
but, he's a hard comedian to dislike. The guy is
so
really funny.
Oh, my God.
He's insanely funny. And then you find out he's a drummer and, puts it over the top.
And he's a good drummer. He's not
I've never
even
seen
just
a clip
like...
of him playing. Is he really good?
He plays, like, older Zeppelin tunes that he's just, like, really good at. And he plays gigs. He doesn't just kind of go, I'm a drummer, and that's what I do. He'll, like... When he was gigging a lot for stand-up comedy, he would do... drumming gigs and then go from that gig to a comedy gig.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You know the other weird thing? I feel like maybe I heard this on a Rogan podcast or something, but he's a helicopter pilot.
Yeah.
As well.
What?
Which, I mean, I just look at that as like 3 completely separate skill sets. Like we all know, everybody listening here knows that playing drums is its own very isolated skill set. And if you're not a professional drummer, you have another profession more than likely, another thing that's like your main go-to hobby. But throwing a third one on the top of there, boy, it gets tricky when you start stacking up your interests like that. Like, how many things can you be that good at, you know? It's and like, helicopter pilot is so black and white. You can't be an okay helicopter pilot.
Yeah, you have to be.
You have to actually be one, dude. We're all going to die.
Yeah, you have to be good. It's like Lewis Hamilton. He's the fastest 11-time world champion F1 driver. And then you're just like... Oh, he's also really good at guitar.
Yeah.
Like, he can't just like drive the fastest vehicle on earth. He can also shred.
Yeah.
And you're just like, why do you need to do that?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
It's amazing, man. Yeah, some people. Okay, so
back to drums.
That hint doesn't help a ton. I'm sure a lot of people would. Well, really, Benny is the only person that comes to mind who I know has some kind of relationship with Bill Burr. Yeah, it's funny. It's still on the Bill Burr thing. I've always wondered, since finding out he's a drummer, I've always wondered, like, it's such a tiny little community. Like, who does he watch on YouTube? Like, what's the chances he's seen any one of my lessons?
If he's watching now, if Bill's watching now, come on the podcast.
Come on the podcast. Talk about drums. Yeah.
We'll do remotely. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll take off work.
That would be sick. Absolutely. Hey, Bill Burr, if you never got an invite for a drum podcast, here it is. Officially invited, brother.
Cool.
Let's do it.
All right. Back to the segment that we record here on this podcast. I got a little photo.
Okay.
This is sort of a kit photo. Well, it's one portion of the kit.
Okay.
I'm hoping it gives you a hint because the other ones weren't fair that I found.
Okay.
So go ahead and click on circuit.
Circuit. So the Maryland flag. This is my old stomping grounds. As you guys don't know, I was born and raised in Maryland.
Could this be you?
So I've never had. Who's the only? Okay. I worked at a summer camp years ago when I was 13, 14, and there was a guy there named Zach Merrick. And we haven't really kept in touch. I don't know him that well now, but Zach was a little older, 16, 17, and he gave me an EP for his band one time. And he said, hey, you should come see my band. We're playing later this summer. It's a startup band, young guy. And that band was All Time Low, long before they were famous or signed or anything. And they ended up being massive. And I remember I'd gone back over the summers. We had gone and seen them as they got huge. It was weird because we knew all of these guys. And the drummer, whose name I can't remember, the drummer for All Time Low had a kit fully wrapped in the Maryland flag. I think it was a Truth kit. And I always remember that was I thought that was kind of dope. I wish I had thought of that, Yeah. It's really a hideous flag.
Oh, it's terrible.
That's a bad flag.
It looks like a puzzle.
Yeah, it's a bad puzzle. But if you're from Maryland, you know that vibe. That or a crab, right? That's about all you get to rock Maryland.
That's all you guys get.
So if we're going metal, Maryland, I do have a short list of drummers that would come up. So what is this brand? Does that say PVC drums, as in a PVC pipe?
You got to figure it out, man.
Provide
the photo.
So I'm going through the initials of some of these drummers. I mean, there's a weird maybe not southern Maryland, that's where I'm from, but there's a weird Maryland metal scene that I wasn't aware even existed until I moved to Florida. And then there was a whole bunch of artists that kind of came up in Bethesda and Rockville, and wait a minute, I grew up really close to there, and there's a bunch of drummers that are from that area. So I've got 3 in my head, and I've really just got to guess. Is there any other hints at all for this one? Is that's what we got?
I'll show you another kit photo.
You have another kit photo?
Well, there's 2 other photos in there you can click on. Forgot to name them.
Okay. The orange?
You can go click on the orange.
The orange one. Okay. So I see. Oh, Tama doesn't help because it helps. I'm trying to narrow down between these 2 guys.
Is there other stuff in that photo? Ah, crap.
There's some gear in the background there. Yeah. Okay. So let me tell you the 2 that I'm between here. I'm between Anoop Sastry and Alex Rudinger, because if we're going Maryland metal, that's kind of where we're at. The other one, I guess, would be Matt Halpern, but I don't know why his playing would be a little easier for me to recognize. It's tricky too because the Vic Firths don't help. I believe they both are on Tama sticks now, so I'm not too sure about.
Tama makes sticks.
Yeah, Tama makes sticks. Huh. I believe they both got signatures, if I'm not mistaken. Ooh. Man, so between those 2 guys, and they have similar play styles, right? Both very heavy-handed, very articulate, metal influence, but not limited to that. Ooh, Evans.
You have a coin? We could flip a coin.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at, right? Just flipping a coin. Okay, I'll chance it just based off of the fact that we use one of Alex Rudinger's tracks. That song "Detached" was written by him. It's on the Meinl Stick and Brush channel and the Meinl Cymbals YouTube channel. That performance has a whole lesson pack for "Detached," but that song was written by Alex, so let's give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna guess Alex Rudinger.
It is Alex Rudinger.
Hey, brother Rudy! Awesome, man. That's a hard one. Very hard. If not for Maryland, I don't think I would have got it.
It was like the only non-metal styled clip of him playing that I could find.
Yeah.
Nothing, by the way. I'm sure he shreds. There is nothing on the internet of him just playing. Every clip is him playing to music.
Playing to music.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, he I'd say one of the last things I saw that just impressed the shit out of me was Mario, the Mario theme. Man, he did a metal take of that. Oh my god, it was so creative, man. It was very cool. This was probably 2 or 3 years ago, but that video always pops up as like a good go-to. If you've never heard of him, like check him out, man. He absolutely shreds.
There's another famous Mario theme drummer video.
There is, isn't there? Yeah, what is that called?
It's probably just Mario theme on drums. Mario on drums is probably
the
name of it.
Yeah.
And it's very famous from like 12 years ago.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
YouTube days where the dude orchestrated and annotated an entire piece that he could play live.
Wow.
And then eventually it made its way to an orchestra, and he recorded it with an orchestra many, many years later.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Alex Rudinger, that was a good one, man. Very good. OG YouTuber for sure. He's been posting YouTube videos, I feel like longer than I have.
If you haven't seen Alex Rudinger by this point and you're a drummer, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing? He's an
Lord.
absolute OG and a sweetheart of a guy. I've had several phone calls with him. Super, super nice guy. Loved working with him this past year. So shout out Alex, man. That was a good one.
Cool. All right. That's one of two.
All right.
Let's move on to Numero dos.
Numero dos. Here we go. This clip is called Away.
Away.
Player puzzle number 2. That's so tricky. That's so tricky. That could be a number of people. A number of people. I heard, man, I got 2 guesses, but they're not even similar. So maybe I'll just float those 2 guesses in my head, and we'll take another hint. Yeah, these 2 guesses I have, it could have been either guy, but they're not really that similar. So maybe some more context will help us out here.
This drummer received lessons from the drummer for the Bee Gees.
Drummer for the Bee Gees. Who's the drummer for the Bee Gees?
Ricky Lawson.
Ricky Lawson, man. So heavy funk influence for sure. Live performance influence. I imagine you wouldn't want lessons from somebody like that unless you were planning on playing live. So this is probably not like a purist content creator. Probably not somebody very particularly young either. That's tricky. So like a live player, I'd say a touch older to have interest in playing with someone from like a famous 60s, 70s band. And then that playing style. So that kind of helps me narrow down of my 2 choices, but not positive. What's our kit photo? Or do we have 2?
Just one kit photo.
Just one kit photo. And that's also called Away.
Away.
Okay. Huh. Man, I wish I could recognize that studio. It feels familiar, but I'm not positive. So we've got Tama. I can tell that from the throne and then from the hi-hat pedal. So we have mostly a Tama setup here. But this is a recording nerd. Nobody would have this type of audio setup, like crazy hybridized kit, unless they were an audio nerd. What are these overhead mics? What are those things?
Very expensive microphones.
They sure look expensive with that shock mount system on there. Huh. Okay, so based on the playing clip, based on like the spaciness of the playing clip, the fact that he studied with like a guy like Ricky Lawson, and then this intense audio setup. I think, and then Meinl Tama. I think my best guess is going to be brother Eman Cervantes.
It is Eman. It is Eman Cervantes. The coffee already wore off. And
awesome. I'm amazed that I that was one of my two guesses from the playing clip. I feel like
What was the other guess?
Forrest. But it wasn't busy enough for him. I was like, Forrest would have done a lot more in that amount of space. Man, yeah, I don't know what it is. I'll tell you what. There was one time where him and I were talking, and he was telling me about a couple of really, really cool gigs that he got hit up for. And, you know, I kind of asked him, I think the question was, what makes certain producers or engineers who are in situations where they have to hire a certain person, what makes them call you? Like, why would they call somebody from across the country instead of somebody in their own city to play like basic rock beats? You know, like what makes you stand out there? And he said that his playing, as described to him by the people he works with, is bombastic, like giant through the drum set, like leaving appropriate amount of space, but like explosive playing, even if the playing is very simple. And to be honest, it kind of reminds me of like when Aaron Spears plays pocket. It's got like a thick heaviness to it that like, and I don't mean this in anything, because both of these are like larger guys, but it's a quality that you see from larger people. Like when your arms, when your bones are that thick and your shoulders are that tall and wide, like there's a certain way that you can lay into the drums that's like really discernible, you know? I don't know, there was like a certain like thick quality to that playing that reminded me of E-Man for sure. But he's brought Kelly and I to like probably 10 or 15 Andy Grammer shows over the years. So I've seen his playing like up close in person like a lot, you know, at least an hour or two for each one of those shows. And I've watched plenty of his content and stuff as well. So that was a tricky one for sure, but I'm glad I got that. I should get that as much as I've seen E-Man play. Amazing drummer if you guys aren't familiar with E-Man. Meinl artist as well.
Yes, he is. Yeah. That clip was short. Tried to keep it short, but you still got it.
That's a good one, awesome. Man. Really good.
Yeah. I found out about the Ricky Lawson thing from the interview you did on the site. So,
interesting. Yeah. That was so many years ago. I totally forgot about that.
Old studio stuff.
Yeah. That was at least 5 years ago, maybe more.
Something like that.
Yeah. He was at the old. I forgot we have an interview with him. Yeah. So put a clip of the interview up. Yeah. If you want to learn more about E-Man, or at least what he was doing a few years back. Obviously, none of the fundamentals have changed, but yeah, man, he's an awesome player, awesome guy, good friend of mine for sure. He was supposed to come to my wedding. He couldn't make it, but. Yeah, he was one of the bummers that couldn't come, but good dude, man. Good guy, good friend.
All right, cool. 2 for 2 player puzzle.
All right.
And that out. You're doing great, man.
Yeah.
Look at you,
slaying
streak. And I'll sit a loser forever. Okay.
Thank you for watching this clip of the Orlando Drummer Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're looking for more content like this, consider yourself formally invited to come join me on orlandodrummer.com. It's an online drum school, very much in the style of Netflix. There's over 160 hours of content waiting for you there. You can try it free for 7 days at the link in the description. I'll see you guys there.